My name is Alara Quinn. I'm 29 years old, and when I was 17, my father looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If you won't give your kidney to save her, then you're no daughter of mine." Then he opened the front door and told me to leave. That same night, in the rain, with $150 in my pocket and a backpack that wasn't even fully packed. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is what happened 12 years later. Because last month, a broken, homeless man walked into the shelter I run and begged me for help. He didn't recognize me, but I recognized him immediately. It was my father, and he had no idea that the daughter he threw away was now the only reason he wasn't sleeping on the street. And what I did next? That changed everything. But before I tell you that, you need to understand how it got this bad, because nothing about this story is simple. And if this already makes you angry, hit like right now. And if someone you trusted ever betrayed you, comment betrayed below. I read every single one. Now let me take you back to the night my life split into two. 3 years before that night, my mom died, breast cancer. I was 14, and after that, the house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a waiting room. Silent, cold, temporary. My dad, Dr. Marcus Quinn, was a respected surgeon, the kind people trusted with their lives, the kind who wore expensive watches and never missed a day of work. After Mom died, he stopped missing everything else too. Dinner? Alone. School events? Empty seat. Conversations? Microwave dinners. Laundry at midnight. Crying quietly so he wouldn't hear. But the strangest part? He never talked about her. Not once. Like she never existed. Except her chair. There was this one chair in the living room, cream-colored, slightly worn on the arms. My mom used to sit there every evening. After she died, no one touched it, except me. Sometimes I'd sit there, pull one of her old sweaters around me, and pretend things were still normal. Pathetic, right? But that chair, it was the last place she felt real. And then one day, that changed too. Because when I was 16, my dad brought someone home. Her name was Vanessa. Blonde, polished, always smiling just a little too much. And she didn't just visit, she stayed. Started leaving things around the house. Her perfume replaced my mom's, her shoes by the door. And eventually, she started sitting in my mom's chair. Like she belonged there. Like nothing had ever happened. And I hated her for it. But not as much as I hated what came next. Because Vanessa didn't come alone. She had a daughter, Lily. She was 10, small, pale, always tired. At first, I thought she was just shy. But then I noticed the hospital bracelets, the medication, the way adults lowered their voices around her. Something was wrong, something serious. And one night, I found out exactly what. It was late. I came downstairs for water, and I heard voices in my dad's office. The door was slightly open. I shouldn't have listened, but I did. "Are you sure she's a match?" Vanessa whispered. "Yes," my dad said. Calm, clinical. I ran the tests myself. My stomach dropped. "Match? For what?" "She's perfect," he continued. "Better than anyone on the registry." I froze. My brain couldn't catch up. What was he talking about? And then Vanessa said something that made my blood run cold. "So, you're going to tell her?" A pause. And then, "No, I'll handle it." That's when I should have walked away. But I didn't. Because something inside me already knew. This had everything to do with me. A few weeks later, he called me into the living room. No warning, no softness. Just, "Alara, sit down." There was a folder on the table. Medical charts. Scans. Numbers I didn't understand. "Lily is dying," he said. Just like that. No emotion. No buildup. She has kidney failure. End stage. I blinked. Okay. That's terrible. But why was he telling me this? Then he opened the folder, turned it toward me, and said, "You're a match." My heart stopped. "What?" "Your blood work, from your last physical. I ran compatibility testing." My hands started shaking. "You tested me without telling me?" "I needed to know our options." "Our options? What options?" I asked slowly. And then he said the sentence that changed everything. "The surgery is in 3 weeks." I stared at him, waiting for him to laugh, to say he was joking. He didn't. "You're donating your kidney to Lily." Something inside me broke. "You already scheduled it?" I whispered. "Yes." "Without asking me?" "I'm telling you now." That calm tone. Like this was normal. Like this was his decision to make. "She's a child, Ilara," he said. "She will die without this." My chest tightened. "I didn't say I wouldn't help," I said, "but you don't get to decide this for me." His jaw clenched. "You're healthy. You only need 1 kidney." "That's not the point." "Then what is?" I stood up. "It's my body." Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. And then he said it. Cold. Sharp. Final. "You're being selfish." That word hit harder than anything else. Selfish. For wanting control over my own body? "If you had asked me," I said, my voice shaking, "maybe I would have said yes. But you didn't. You lied. You tested me behind my back. You scheduled surgery like I'm some spare part." His eyes hardened. "You don't understand the stakes." "No," I said. "You don't understand boundaries." And then I said the word that sealed my fate. "No." The room went completely still, like the air itself had stopped moving. He looked at me, not angry, not emotional, just done. "Pack your things," he said. I blinked. "What? You have 1 hour." I actually laughed, because it sounded insane. "You're kicking me out? If you can stand there and choose yourself over a dying child," he said slowly, "then you're not my daughter." That sentence? It didn't just hurt, it erased something inside me. "Dad, don't call me that." And just like that, I wasn't his daughter anymore. I packed in silence, hands shaking, mind numb. Clothes, charger, toothbrush, the essentials. That's all I was allowed to take. When I came downstairs, Vanessa was there, crying. Of course she was. "How can you do this?" she said, her voice dripping with judgment. "He's just a child." I looked at Lily. She was staring at me like I was a monster, and maybe in her eyes, I was. "I hope she gets a kidney," I said quietly. "I really do." And then I looked at my father. "But it won't be mine." And I walked out. The door slammed behind me. And just like that, I had no home, no family, no safety net. Just rain. Cold, relentless rain. I stood there for a moment, waiting for him to come after me, to change his mind. To say this was all a mistake? He didn't. The lights inside the house started turning off, one by one, like I never existed. That night, I learned something important. No one is coming to save you. And if you want to survive, you figure it out yourself. But what I didn't know then was that walking out of that house was the beginning of something much bigger. Because 12 years later, that same man would be sitting across from me, broken, alone, and asking for help. And I would have to decide if he deserved it. I still remember the exact moment my father stopped seeing me as his daughter and started seeing me as spare parts. He didn't even hesitate. "You're being selfish," he said, his voice cold, clinical, like he was diagnosing a disease instead of talking to his own child. "A life is on the line, and you're choosing yourself." I was 17. 17, standing in the middle of the kitchen I grew up in, barefoot, shaking, trying to understand how saying no to losing an organ suddenly made me a monster. And then he said the words that broke something inside me forever. "If you won't do this, then you're not my daughter anymore." I thought he didn't mean it. I thought, parents don't actually do that. But an hour later, I was standing outside in the cold with a backpack, a hoodie, and $150 in cash, while my father locked the door behind me like I was a stranger. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just gone. But here's the part no one would believe. 11 years later, that same man walked into my homeless shelter, broken, desperate, begging for help. And he had no idea. The person standing behind the desk was the daughter he threw away. He looked right at me and didn't recognize me at all. And that's when everything changed. But before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand how it ever got that bad. Because what he did to me that night, that wasn't even the worst part. If this already makes you feel angry, go ahead and hit like right now, because what comes next will honestly make your blood boil. And if you've ever had someone you trusted betray you, comment "betrayed" below. I read every single one. Now let me take you back to the moment everything started falling apart. 3 years before that night, my mom died. Cancer. Fast, aggressive, and cruel. One year, she was laughing in the kitchen, burning pancakes and dancing to old songs. And the next, she was too weak to get out of bed. I was 14 when she passed. 14, and suddenly the house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a museum. Everything stayed exactly the same, except the life inside it was gone. Her mug still sat in the cabinet. Her shoes still lined up by the door. Her perfume still faintly lingered in her closet. But she wasn't there. And my dad? He disappeared in a different way. Not physically, but emotionally. He buried himself in work. Longer shifts, late nights, weekend surgeries. At first, I thought he was grieving. But eventually, I realized something painful. It was easier for him to save strangers than face the fact he couldn't save his own wife. So he avoided everything that reminded him of her, including me. Dinner became microwave meals. Conversations became one-word answers. Weeks would go by where the only thing we said to each other was, "Did you eat?" "Yeah." "Okay." That was it. And I kept telling myself, he's just hurting. He'll come back. He's still my dad, but I didn't know it yet. He was already drifting away, and someone else was about to take my place. Her name was Rachel. She showed up about a year later. Perfect smile, soft voice, always polite. Too perfect. The kind of person who says all the right things, but never actually feels real. And she had a son, Ethan, 8 years old, quiet, pale, always tired. At first, I tried to be nice. I really did. I told myself, maybe this is good. Maybe we can be a family again. But something always felt off. Rachel started spending more and more time at our house. Then Ethan did too. Then their stuff started appearing. Shoes by the door, toothbrush in the bathroom, toys in the living room. And slowly, quietly, my mom's presence disappeared. Her photos? Taken down. Her chair? Replaced. Her memory? Erased. Like she had never existed. And the worst part? My dad didn't even notice. Or maybe he did, and just didn't care. But that's not even the part that broke me. No. What broke me was the night I overheard the truth. It was late. Around 11 p.m. I couldn't sleep, so I went downstairs to get water. And that's when I heard voices coming from my dad's office. The door was slightly open. I wasn't trying to listen, but then I heard something that made me freeze. "She's a match," Rachel's voice. Quiet, urgent. My heart skipped. "A match?" "For sure," she asked. My dad responded immediately. 99%. It doesn't get better than that. My stomach dropped. I didn't understand, but something felt wrong. Very wrong. "She doesn't know yet?" Rachel asked. "No," my dad said. Calm, certain, but she will. Silence. Then Rachel again, softer this time. Will she agree? And my dad said something I will never forget. She doesn't have a choice. I stood there, frozen. Glass of water in my hand, shaking so hard it almost slipped. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I knew one thing. They weren't talking to me. They were talking about me. And whatever it wasn't good. Not even close. But I had no idea just how far he was willing to go. A few weeks later, I found out. And my life changed forever.